Welcome everybody to Legal Tech Week for our 2026 prediction show, in which our panel is going to go around and prognosticate on what they think is going to happen in legal tech and innovation for 2026. And we're also going to look a little bit back at some of the predictions we made last year and see just how well we did on that. For anybody in the chat, we'd love to hear your predictions and your thoughts on what the year ahead is going to look like. So please be sure to put your thoughts in the chat. And here to gaze into their crystal balls today are our panelists. And I'll start. We've got our occasional guest panelist, Greg Lambert. Greg, introduce yourself.
All right, I'm Greg Lambert. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer, and I'm not sure if I've been on the show as officially as the Chief Innovation Officer yet.
Yeah.
For Jackson Walker. And I co-host a podcast with Marlene Gaybauer called The Geek in Review.
Finally, somebody can tell me what an innovation officer does.
We do innovation, Bob. That's it.
Okay, good. All right, and from across the pond, Caroline.
Hey everyone, great to be here. Happy New Year. I'm Caroline Hill. I'm the editor of Legal IT Insider. I'm based in the UK, as Bob said. It's been pitch black for 4 hours now. It's the depth of winter, and it's nice to see your smiling faces.
See yours. And from somewhere in the greater Manhattan area, Joe.
Oh, that would be really greater.
Yeah, really greater, I guess.
Yeah. Hi, Joe Patrice from Above the Law and the Thinking Like a Lawyer podcast. I'm actually so far greater. I'm up the Hudson Valley right next to Stewart Airport. So I got to see Nicolas Maduro fly over my house at low altitude because that's where the helicopters took off from. So waved at him. He didn't wave back as far as I could tell.
Those hands were cuffed, so. And all right, Victor, somewhere in the greater Chicago area.
Yeah, actually, well, I think we're in one of the first suburbs right outside the city, so that works for me. Victor Lee, I'm assistant managing editor for the ABA Journal. Yeah, I don't have any fun stories about Venezuelan presidents. Maybe who knows? Maybe I can put in my application to run the country. I don't know if they're taking applications or if they're still looking for people, or if it's been decided that they're going to send, Rubio or Miller down there. But I figured I'd try for it.
All right. And Stephanie, I won't even guess where you are. You've been all over the place recently.
Yeah, but I am. I mean, I'm a part of the greater Manhattan area. I'm the greater Manhattan area we call Brooklyn, so I'm actually the closest. But yes, I'm back in Brooklyn after a little bit of a winter world jaunt. But yeah, I'm Stephanie Wilkins, director of content at Legal Tech Hub. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again.
And last but not least, and at least in the state of New York, I think, Niki.
Yeah, I think I'm in what most people in New York City would call New Canada.
Greater Manhattan.
I mean, jealously, I would call you that, but yes.
One could hope.
Yeah.
I'm in Rochester, New York, and my name is Niki Black. I am the principal legal insight strategist at 8 a.m., the team behind My Case, LawPay, CasePure, and DocketWise. And I write legal tech columns for ABA Journal, Above the Law, and The Daily Record. And looking forward to seeing what everyone's got to say today.
All right. Well, before we get to our predictions for next year, I thought I'd take a few moments and go back and talk about some of the predictions we made last year and see what we all think how we did. We didn't actually do like a full prediction show last year. We did a year-end show at the end of which, it's sort of the last 10 or 15 minutes of which we turned to looking ahead to 2025. How quaint that seems now. And so I thought I'd kind of talk, and we weren't all on that show. Greg was on that show, so glad to have him back here today so he can defend his position from last year. But
now he has a new role. Now he has a new role, so he'll be smart.
I did not predict that.
That's right. That's right. But first up last year was Stephanie, and Stephanie, I don't know whether you remember this or not, but your prediction was that AI agents are going to be the big story of 2025. You said, this is paraphrasing a little bit, but a year from now we'll be talking about how that panned out and how agents ended up where they worked and where they didn't. So, what do you think? How did you do with your prediction?
I mean, I think I win and we can end the show. No, I did say that. And I mean, I think that is pretty accurate. I mean, you'll note I didn't say agents are going to make everything magic. I just said it was going to be the big issue of the year. And a year from now, we'd be checking back to see how that went. I think that's exactly where we are. Last time we got together, I did my word of the year and the word that won the poll was agents. So yeah, I feel good about what I said last year.
Yeah, I think you get I think you got a win there with that one.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on whether agents was a correct how Stephanie did last year?
I mean,
I
it was
will
definitely,
say that
yeah, it was definitely a story.
agents, yeah, I will say agents were okay through most of the year, but it really had a big impact at the end of the year. So, uh, it, so Stephanie, if it wasn't for the last 4 weeks of 25, I think that might have been a miss just because there was a lot of talk but not a lot of action.
Well, see,
But
but in fairness, Greg, I didn't say that they were
That's
going to
true.
be implemented. I said they
it
were
would be
going to
talk.
be the topic of
The
the year,
story.
and we'd be saying,
True,
we'd
true.
be seeing if it worked
Yeah.
out or not.
Did you mention the word
Man, has
agent
it hit in the
washing?
last few weeks.
Like, there's going to be a lot of people saying they're doing a lot of stuff with
I
agent
mean,
washing as a term.
I think it's
that's
understood, right? I think it's understood, like especially in this industry, is like there's always talk that goes on for a long time before there's any action, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Look,
Wait a minute,
that's the kind of cover your ass prediction that only a lawyer trained at NYU can pull off. So, congratulations.
Yes. I take that as a compliment because Joe also was rated NYU, unless all of you are thinking that it's a rare moment. He is not throwing shade at me.
All right, I'm being very slow text. Greg, what do you mean by what happened in the last 4 weeks of the year that made agents legitimate that didn't the rest of the year?
I think the big story is Claude Code. Claude
Oh,
Code had a
okay.
huge impact at the end of the year. So
Yeah,
it made it real for a lot of people.
yeah. But it really was, I mean, it was all year. I mean, it started, I mean, I think way back in January, I was looking back over my own stories for the year. Way back in January, we had a press briefing with LexisNexis when they started talking about their agentic AI tools, which I think they had already started talking about even before January. And then they kept building on that. And then Thomson Reuters came out with their agentic co-counsel, and everybody. I mean, all year long, as we all know, it was just a string of stories about agentic AI. So yeah, so Stephanie
I'll tell
nailed
you,
it.
the company that needs to shut the hell up about agents is Microsoft. Is just stop talking about agents because what you're doing is not agents.
This was the thing, isn't it? And this was the same. It was a real learning journey, I think, if I can say for me and probably a lot of people, about what is it? Is this really an agent? All this stuff that you're saying with Lexis, and then the looking at the integrations and how is it going to be agentic if you can't even do this? And I think it's been much like with everything else. It's a journey, right? Like no one, as Stephanie said, you weren't saying that it was like a fait accompli, but that this would be the big learning curve of 2025. I think this
Yeah,
has been a huge learning curve for me and probably a lot of us.
Yeah, and
yeah,
I think, I totally agree. Like, I'm not saying that far from everything out there that claims to be an agent is actually agentic. Like, that's absolutely not what I'm saying at all, because we all know there's a lot of, like you said, Caroline, agent washing.
yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, Nikki's prediction went off on that theme a little bit, but she talked about agentic fraud, saying that agents have given bad actors the ability to commit fraud at a grand scale, and it's going to decimate the online world. Nikki, what do you
I've
think?
forgotten that. I forgot what I predicted. That was a good one. I think I think it's I couldn't remember what I
I'm
predicted.
glad you liked it.
I think that's I definitely think that happened. I mean, I don't know whether it was necessarily agentic or AI, but I mean, the scale of fraud that's been happening that's AI powered is just over the top. I mean, it's pretty astronomical. I mean, you can't. I feel like everything's just going to crap right now, both like the internet and spam and social engineering and just like everything's a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has it
I
had
have
a,
missed your optimism, Nikki. I have missed this.
So am I supposed
has it had a impact on the legal industry in particular, do you think?
do I think it's had an impact on legal? I don't recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, any significant stories that necessarily were fraud against law firms that were AI powered. So I'm not sure if it's I was definitely talking on a broader scale rather than just legal when I said
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
But I don't I'm not sure if it actually has on our industry. Anyone else
I
disagree?
mean, yeah, like it probably doesn't have a strong foothold into the legal industry as it would in other industries. So maybe it's just too early. I mean, who knows? Maybe this year could be the year we get, Nikki's doom and gloom scenario.
Just
Then
too
she can come on and be like, "I told you so."
I think we're already getting it, but
Starting the year off on the right foot, the wrong
yeah.
foot. Gloomy. Should
All
I
right.
do my prediction?
Nope. I'm
Okay.
just talking about. We'll get to
Okay.
that. I'm just going to go quickly through. We only have two more to go through because other people aren't here. Steve isn't here. He made some predictions last year. We'll skip his stuff, but we'll go right to Greg Lambert, who
Yeah, we can
Greg's.
skip me.
Well, your prediction was that with the new administration kind of coming in, that the economy was going to, as you said, burn like white hot for a couple of years. That means regulations are going to be going away. There's going to be all sorts of mergers and other activity. And that means lawyers are going to be so busy that very little is going to happen in the legal tech world because lawyers are going to be too busy dealing with everything else that's going on in the economy to learn any new legal tech. So,
I'm not that far off. I think we did well. One, the economy is burning frickin' pretty hot. I know I looked at my 401k this week and it's jumped up quite a bit just in a few days at the beginning of the year. And I think it jumped 25-30% last year. So it's not, I think the deregulation has had an effect on the economy, but also, of course, the big seven have had a huge impact on that. And but also the regulations. The thing that I think that probably surprised me the most with the regulations is how much no one even seemed to care about it. So
yeah. But
I just assumed there would be more more pushback than there was, but nope. Never mind.
yeah,
I,
but
I
was there
feel
that
like
follow through that lawyers were so busy that they weren't able to pay any attention to adopting new technology?
Well, they were too busy, groveling at the feet of the administration to, with a few minor exceptions of saying, "Hey, yeah, we'll do whatever you need. Just don't ban us from, entering in federal courthouses. And we'll be okay." So, I think everyone's kind of pushed that to the side. But there's a number of firms that kind of sucked this year, and giving up a lot in order to continue practicing law in the federal courts, at least.
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to say about the regulation stuff. There hasn't been a ton of pushback, but also there's been weirdly not a ton of action on it in that the regulations start going away, but I think a lot of companies go like, yeah, sure, and then haven't actually changed their behavior because I think correctly, they view it as all ephemeral. Especially like these, I think a lot about the EV stuff for cars. I think a lot of the auto manufacturers are like, whatever he's saying, this is stupid. Obviously, it's inevitably going to go back to this tech, so we're going to keep doing it. And I see that with a lot of these regulation disappearances. The Republicans get rid of them, and the companies themselves are like, it's too much. It would be too costly for us to go all the way back and then come all the way back when it swings. So they're just not acting, which I think is really fascinating. And as far as the capitulating firms, obviously that was the biggest story of the year. It's one the New York Times covered even. I put that in the chat.
It was
All
it
right.
was
Well,
Thomson,
yeah.
Thomson
Go ahead.
Reuters. Sorry, but Thomson Reuters just published this week a state of the US market, looking at the profit. You've had this record profitability and record investment in tech, but that like you say, Greg, it's just been burning hot, and like in terms of actually real strategic long-term thinking, they were calling out. They were quite kind of, by TR terms, bombastic or aggressive in their sort of criticism. I thought for that type of report, they were just like, you know what, this is a lot of it is just not strategic, it's not long term, and it's going to bust. I think it was quite
and we've wondered that too. I mean, we've wondered that too, whether this is real or not. Like how solid is it? Is it just another bubble? Is this the year, or is there a bust coming? I mean, all bubbles burst. So yeah, I mean, I mean, we've talked about this on the show, whether or not this is a mirage, or whether it's legitimate. I mean, the money flowing in there would seem to indicate that it must be legitimate, but then that kind of thinking is exactly how we get into certain types of crises to begin with, right? With the housing bubble and things like that. But just kind of go back to an earlier point. I mean, with regulations, I think it depends what regulation you're talking about, right? Because some regulations have gotten a lot of attention, like HHS stuff, or like maybe some of the EPA stuff, but like and that's part of the greater strategy of what we've seen just in both Trump administrations is like if you're so focused on like the big picture things, you don't focus on the little things, and so what they're doing in the shadows doesn't necessarily get the exposure that it would with any other administration, because they're violating, because of all these other norms that they're violating that are so much bigger than any kind of like agency action. But I mean, considering that now they with the end of the Chevron deference, you would think agencies would be able to pretty much do whatever they want, and they would get upheld in court. So I mean, yeah, maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see more of that this year, especially if they sense that they're going to have trouble after the elections to get anything done. Maybe we'll see a ramp up of agencies starting to exert their rulemaking authority, knowing that the courts will probably defer to them now.
Yeah. Let's get to one more of our predictions from last year before we get to the predictions for this year. And that's from Joe Patrice, who said that the biggest story of the year was going to be cybersecurity of 2025, talking about the fact that the incoming administration at that point had already said that they're going to be slashing spending for cybersecurity. They're going to start a trade war with global cyber threat, et cetera, et cetera. And he said, we're dealing with a situation where we're going to provoke cyber attacks with zero protection from the government, and that law firms are the soft underbelly of a lot of this stuff, meaning that there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be, a lot of law firms, a lot of others in the legal sector who are going to get attacked. So, Joe, what do you think? How was your prediction?
Missed it by that much, for those old enough to remember that. Like, no, it just today, in our internal of this show conversation, I sent around a Tech Dirt story about how the China's salt typhoon attack is just getting more and more problematic, and it's all happening, as they write, because the U.S. cyber defenses got cut back and caused all these issues. And I was like, oh, where was this like 3 months ago? So I could have been right on my 2025 prediction. I'm going to go ahead and recast this as I'm more of a futurist. And so when I said my 2025 prediction, I was clearly right about 2026. Whatever I say later is going to be the 2027 story. Just book it now. All right.
Joe, I love that you said 3 months ago, and I hate to inform you that it's still the single digits of January.
Well, no. 3 months ago, as in it would have been in 2025, and I would have been right about the 2025 part, because it would have been in like October. Yeah.
That's exactly my point. That was 9 days ago, not 3 months ago.
Oh, yeah. No, fair. No, fair. And in fact, to be totally fair, this Tech Dirt story, it did happen in the latter weeks of December, so I could technically say I was true, but I feel like you need I'm not going to take credit for like I don't feel like I'm going to take that technical lawyer ball credit. I feel like I need like a few months worth of it happening for it to count for my 2025.
I was just saying, we all know it does feel like we've been
Fair.
here for months already, but we have
Yeah,
not, sadly.
Yeah, I've went through 3 dry Januaries already.
yeah.
I'm surprised you even tried. Oh, I get it.
I didn't. I
Yeah.
didn't.
You've maybe taken the mickey because I am doing dry January. Don't know why.
All right, well, we are going to get to our predictions for 2026. And a couple of weeks ago, we did our year in review show, and I went in reverse alphabetical order. So today I'm going to go in alphabetical order. I'm going to skip myself and jump right to Niki Black for your prediction for 2026.
So my prediction is I'm looking backwards to look forward. My prediction is that legal professionals will continue to utilize the AI functionality in the tools that they're already using as these providers roll AI out into the software in a more robust way. But I believe that the trend will be that rather than looking for additional legal software to fill the gaps, especially in the solo, small firm, and even mid firm market, they're going to be looking to these larger providers, meaning OpenAI, meaning Claude, and hopefully not Grok, but
Copilot.
maybe Copilot. But
We will definitely look at
Wait,
Copilot.
wait. No, Grok as a legal tech makes sense because it can take anything and put it in briefs.
Wow, you just wait.
All
I don't
right.
know, Joe. It sounds like you're with your pants down.
All right, bye everybody. I'm
Doing the George Costanza thing where you leave on a joke.
I'm out of here.
But so I think that they're going to, and part of this is because of the way that just as occurred with Dropbox and Box way back when, just as they started to build in response to market demands, security and privacy features into their software so that legal professionals and other types of professionals that had these needs could use their tools. You're also going to see, you already are seeing companies like OpenAI building in those business levels of the platforms or enterprise levels that are relatively affordable, that have a lot of different protections built in, that depending on your needs as an attorney, you may be able to enter confidential information in there and feel comfortable doing so. So I think you're going to see lawyers turning to them for a lot of the functionality that is not yet available or won't become available in their legal software, because it's limited by the data sets. And I also think that along with that trend, and this is going to happen, I think, at the very tail end of 2026 and definitely into 2027. Just as Box and Dropbox, especially Dropbox, started integrating with legal software, you're going to see, I think, the same thing happen with these larger providers. And that's sort of my more long shot prediction. But I do think that you may start to actually see those integrations because, and I'm basing all of this on, I'm in the throes of our legal industry report. I've written it, it's getting edited by our content team. And that data is really interesting. The level of uptick in terms of general purpose AI use by individual practitioners for work-related reasons has more than doubled. It's unbelievable, the rates that you're seeing there versus firm use, which is it takes them longer. They're all running pilot programs. It's taken firms a lot longer to actually implement this on a firm-wide level. And other interesting data is what low rates there are of training and even policies within some of these firms that have implemented it. So I think that you're going to start to see these. And the other thing is, there was just a study that came out today, and then I'll be done with my prediction. There was from Johns Hopkins, and it sort of reiterated this idea that we talked about earlier last year. The AI may not even need training data moving forward as they start to improve it. And they're teaching it to think like people, like humans or biological beings, without all that training data necessary. And this goes back to my prediction, generally speaking, that I think that the companies that are going to win this war are OpenAI, even in legal, and their counterparts versus legal specific functionalities. Not this year, not next year, but I think the year later. So those are my predictions. And no one can debate me, and everyone has to agree. No, I'm just kidding.
We can't say they're not your predictions.
She did predict that. There we go. Look at Stephanie doing the CYA of an NYU lawyer back and forth over and over again throughout. Semantics for the win.
Oh, we all know I love semantics. I'm serious. I love it.
And I do want to just say that when I talk about lawyers using these tools, every lawyer has to, because I see a comment about HIPAA. Listen, some of the practice management providers are not HIPAA compliant. There are very few tools that are HIPAA compliant. So that certain firms have very specific needs, and they're going to have to turn to tools that can address those needs. And every firm is going to have to assess the security and privacy protections of every provider, depending on their specific and unique needs and the types of data that they handle, to see if it's a fit. I'm not saying every single firm is going to be able to do this. That was 100% not my prediction. And I certainly am not saying that they're HIPAA compliant by any means, but they are, for a lot of law firms, already offer protections that are going to be sufficient for many of the ethical requirements in certain jurisdictions.
All right. Anybody want to agree or disagree?
I would never disagree with Niki.
Okay.
No, Niki's right, because there are plenty of professional restrictions and regulations that we should have. But this goes back to what Greg was saying also. Like, this week we got rid of all the vaccines, and the official recommendation of the health department on alcohol is just don't have it for breakfast. So I don't know as though there's any risk, especially with AI representing something like 18% of the stock market. I don't think there's any risk there's going to be regulations.
Isn't meat the base of the pyramid now?
And meat's the base of the pyramid now.
Yes, I've been waiting all my life for this. Barbecue for everybody.
Welcome to the 1950s.
A lot of people don't even know what it is, right? Like, I think Microsoft is very much, the direction of travel for more firms, and I think the risk is that there's so many sort of partnerships and interactions and integrations. People are going to have to be really clear exactly what it is they're using to start with.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Niki. And next in our alphabetical list here would be Caroline Hill.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to do a rapid three, I think. So first is that the in-house legal market are going to claw a significant chunk of work from law firms. So this comes from speaking to either in-house like head of legal ops directly. I can share a video actually, or maybe someone could share a video. I'll share it in a sec. I was speaking to the head of legal ops at ArcelorMittal, and I referred to a conversation that I'd had with somebody else who used to head Law Tech UK. She's an advisor, and Jennifer Swallow, she'd said, I think around 20% of work that is currently handled by law firms will be in terms of routine, repetitive, maybe not even, but will be handled in-house on top of the work that they already do. I then, sorry if I'm being a bit convoluted in the way I'm describing this, but I then referred that to Sarah SJ, we call her, at ArcelorMittal. I said, what do you think about that figure? She went, I think it may be higher. She said, because this year 2025 has been about in-house teams getting to grips with new technology. They're not saying that they're going to do it all, but they're just saying that they're going to do more. And I've been speaking to tech companies that work with in-house teams exclusively, and this is where the interesting thing comes. I had a conversation with Wordsmith AI last week, and they only work with in-house, so they've got no conflict, right? So they started to talk about some quite interesting agentic work that they're doing. Anyway, so I think that, don't know whether people would agree or disagree. I think that's quite an interesting trend. We've been looking at this for a long time. Who knows? I think that we're going to see from a law firm perspective, I think this is going to be the year of focusing on people. So it sounds a bit cheesy for this panel, but like, so we're seeing, how I said 2025 would be the year of adoption. I think that's probably still applicable. It's a very broad thing to say, but anyway, I think people, it's like, how do you how do you do it? People are realizing that they still, it's very much focused on people. Like, how are you, like Greg's word, the KM word, in the past, like it's all about, I think knowledge is going to be so key. And also looking after
Especially
people.
as we're replacing them all with AI, we need to be nice to them.
Amen.
And then maybe lastly,
Next year, this will all be robots.
I hope so. I want to be in the Maldives.
In bikinis.
And then but I think so strategy, like, so we've had a lot of adoption in 25, particularly towards the latter half. I think now I'm seeing people being more strategic, like, and they're sort of looking at, do we buy? I know we've had buy versus build for years, and but now I'm really seeing people being right. How do we differentiate, right? And I know they've thought about this all the way, but actually everyone's just been getting to grips with it, trying to make people use it. And now, for me anyway, I'd be interested if you disagree, but like they really seem to be thinking, right, how do we really leverage how do we really get ahead in terms of leverage our skills and differentiate ourselves, because otherwise it's just going to be this big wash of AI. Anyway, that was just a quick run through. I don't know if there's like disagreement or people just don't care.
I definitely agree with the first prediction. I've long said that I think that in-house counsel and insurance companies are some of the most sophisticated legal consumers out there, and that they're going to be the drivers of AI adoption by, and especially in-house counsel, because what they can do is do a portion of the work internally before they hand it off too, even if they are still handing stuff out externally. They can do a lot of the initial work to reduce their costs, and then they can be much more discriminating when they're getting the bills back about how long they think it should have been, because they know how to use AI tools because they're incorporating them into their own workflows. So I think
And
that's
their own data and their own, with agentic, they don't have the same issues.
yeah. So I think that's I've been waiting to sort of see that trend really start to take hold, because I've been pretty convinced that they would be the drivers of AI adoption in the legal profession. Clearly, insurance companies are not legal practitioners the way that in-house counsel are. So, but we'll see. But I think that that's spot on. I love that one.
I don't know. In-house counsel have a very bad track record.
Yeah, but no, so no, I agree with what Nikki was saying about Caroline's prediction. I mean, I did a podcast interview with the head of the ACC. I guess back in November now. Again, seems like 6-7 months ago. But he was saying the same thing, that he thinks that they're already seeing more work stay in house. I mean, obviously, the big stuff still goes to the big firms, like the bet your company things and things like that. The major like things that they're not prepared to handle. But this is something that they want to do. They want to keep some of the stuff for themselves. And if they're motivated, then then it is every chance of happening. Because it's as long as they see it as it's within their interest of doing so, then I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I mean, it's been sort of slowly happening ever since 2007 or 2008 or something, in terms of in-house counsel taking more and more work in-house, and also kind of the whole demanding more accountability from their outside firms. But it does, everything I'm hearing and reading does suggest that AI is accelerating that trend. How dramatically, it's hard to say, because I think there's some large, sophisticated in-house legal departments that are way ahead of the curve on that. There's still plenty of in-house legal departments that are still trying to figure out what the heck this is all about. But no, I agree. This will be a year where we'll see more of that happening, I think. All right, that brings us to Greg Lambert.
Hey,
Greg, what do you got?
Let's see if I do a big swing and a miss this year. So I'm going to do a little, shall we say, legal adjacent prediction here. And that is, if anyone thinks that the bubble is going to burst in 2026, don't take your money out of the stock market quite yet, because um, the NVIDIA is coming out with their big new chips that are launching pretty soon, the Rubin and the Vera chips. Surprisingly, I think the winner of this, which it's like a 10x improvement on being able to process. And surprisingly and unfortunately, for my personal beliefs, the winner is going to be Grok, so X, because no one gets a data center up faster than Elon Musk. And that's what's going to happen here, is that first to market for these new chips is going to be leaps and bounds above everyone else. So all of your pants down, briefs up, bikini images are going to 10x over the time. But it's also going to
And from
drive the
space
market.
too, right? They're going to be having their data
Yeah,
centers in space.
they're going to be in space. Now, I will say this is solely dependent upon two issues, and that is if there's no disruption in the supply chain from TSMC out of Taiwan. And I think one of the sleepers in the whole industry is ASML out of the Dutch conglomerate, which is actually the folks that create the lasers that etch the silicon chips. There's a whole group of folks from that have broken off and are starting a kind of a competitor in, I think it's in Thailand or Singapore, somewhere in South Asia. Is probably going to be a couple of years before they're up and running, but I think you're going to see a lot more competition with actually chip manufacturing, and that has to start with the actual laser section. So kind of keep an eye out for that. But I think again the big winner is going to be, and I don't laugh when I say this, but I think Elon is going to probably become a trillionaire in value this year. I will say, back on the legal side of things, Westlaw, Lexus, and even Microsoft are going to continue going gangbusters, which means they're going to do absolutely nothing to make a dent in the market. And you're going to see, as Niki projected, I think you're going to see a lot of non-legal players becoming huge influxes into law firm life, just because the products that we're normally used to, kind of propping us up and keeping us, segregated from the rest of the industries out there, are just not cutting it. They're just not doing a good job at all. I mean, I haven't heard anyone come to me that talks about how they've had a wow moment with Westlaw or Lexus, but they've had a wow moment with Harvey. They've had a wow moment with Lagora. They had a wow moment with Claude Code. And so I think unless we really give the IT department total reins over what it is that we have, and it has to be Microsoft. And we give the people like me total reins, and it has to be Lexus or Westlaw. I think you're going to see other entrants into the market, and it's going to make a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say Clio. Clio is probably best positioned. I just don't know that they're going to be able to really find that niche, and I want them to, but I just don't know. It's such a it's just such a bad market to enter into as a competitor for the two big products. So I don't know if that's the angle that they're taking. I think it's going to be very hard for them.
So you're predicting Harvey will raise more money this year?
It's possible. I hear Lagora raised a few dollars last week or this week.
More money that they will swear they don't need. They don't need. They'll tell you they don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts on that? Any sound good? Anybody disagree?
Tell me how dumb I am, please.
I mean, look, yeah. Well, I was just going to say, and I've been saying it in kind of the chat over here. It's like, yeah, Taiwan is a key part of this. Trump yesterday said that the U.S. is not going to defend Taiwan against a China attack. Not particularly useful information to hear when that's where NVIDIA's like gotta build some of these chips. That's a problem. I think that a lot of the other companies, this circular IOU that goes around of we're loaning you money to pay rent on this that then will buy chips from us that then comes back to us, like this fake money that is kind of Disney bucks economy or whatever is going to be a real problem. I don't know as though I buy the I think the X thing is fair in that I think that he is able to self-fund in ways that some of the other people aren't. But I don't know. I also think that he says some such bonkers stuff.
It doesn't matter what he said. He builds.
Yeah.
He builds faster than everyone, and that's what needs to happen with these new chips. Is
they
got to have it up and running by March, and he's the only one that can get it up and running by March.
And that is true. He does build really quickly because and I think it is because of the funding, like because he doesn't rely on like Blue Owl and all these other people to give him money. But he's running afoul. He's starting to run afoul of the lack of space to put some of these things in. He's starting to get pushback, environmental statement pushbacks and stuff like that from some of these jurisdictions, even right-wing jurisdictions that he thought were going to be friendly to him. So I don't know. Like a lot of these companies are making huge promises that I don't know where they're getting the land and build speed to make up for, which is probably why he's talking about going to space, which, sure, I mean, his rockets blow up half the time, though, so I don't know why we should rely on him to build something up there.
He's not the first person to say data centers in space, though. A lot of people have been suggesting that.
I mean, it was a debate argument. Right? It's a debate argument I made in like the 90s. I mean, we've been talking about it for a while. It's still dumb.
Yep. It's smarter than you think, Joe. Yeah. There's more reason for it.
Oh no, reason-wise, sure. Also solar power should all be run from space reason-wise, but the logistical blockades to it are far, far bigger than any of these folks who he talks about it because he's basically a meme stock in and of himself. He says these things, his people buy it, then he goes in and says, pay me $58 trillion in compensation or whatever it is. And he gets it because his shareholders clap like seals. He makes wild claims and he pays off on some of them and enough to keep it going, basically. Like it's a shell game. And I think the deep sea data centers make a lot more sense than the outer space ones, but even that is a huge undertaking.
All right.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I know Elon Musk has like you said, he builds things and he has resources and he has obviously his connections. But what does he really accomplish outside of like a rockets that blow up half the time and a car that he didn't invent? I mean, he tried to. Doge was a rousing success, right? And Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days has lost how much value since he got it? Like, it's just he's like Joe says, like he's good at running a shell game, and if for whatever reason that's gotten him this far in life, but I wouldn't put money on him accomplishing anything substantial.
Victor, while we're talking, why don't we move on to your predictions so we can make sure we get through these before we run out of time here.
Gotcha. So yeah, my prediction kind of ties into the China-Taiwan talk. So I did a podcast interview with Oliver Roberts this week. That'll be up next week. doing predictions for 2026, and actually one of the things that he said that was because I asked him like what are the chances of like any kind of comprehensive federal regulations this year, because we talked about the executive order I think on the last show, or maybe it was the one before that, I don't remember. Like what are the chances that we could get something like that, and he said that rather than just doing the easy thing and be like, oh, you never know with this government, or the Senate can't even the Senate and the House can't even pass like spending bills. How are they gonna pass a comprehensive AI bill? But he actually said that if China does take action against Taiwan because of the chips, then the country might have no choice but to adopt some kind of AI policy, just because or some kind of comprehensive federal regulation, just because they'll have to treat it as a national security threat. Um, I don't pretend to know much about Chinese-Taiwanese relations. Actually saying Taiwanese is actually a potential hot button. So
you're already in trouble.
Yeah, I'm already in trouble. But I don't pretend to know much about like cross-strait relations.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. I do know this has been hanging over heads of Taiwan for decades now. China's always talked about wanting to eventually reunite or bring Taiwan back into the fold by force if necessary. Could it happen? I mean, sure, it could. Especially but I think people have been predicting this that it was going to happen immediately after the Ukraine war, and it didn't. And so I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but kind of relying on that as sort of as something that could happen. It's it would depend on a lot of things, and a lot of things would have to happen in order for us to get to that point. So I guess the prediction is kind of couched in a somewhat in a scenario that may or may not be very likely. But it's just more along the lines of like the idea that it could take an extraordinary event like that to force the federal government to get off its ass and do something. That probably is quite likely.
Oliver published something this week. It was 85 predictions. What is it called? 85 predictions for AI
Yep.
and law in 2026. Like there were like so many people published I mean, we're doing a show, so I shouldn't denigrate the concept, but they were like
why are you mad
there were
at easy
so many-
content?
Yeah.
There are so many stories
This
week.
is at least the second show
Just like-
Niki's been on to predict.
I know she was on yours, right? Yeah, I saw that.
Yep.
But 85, it's like, I don't know.
I had trouble coming up with 5.
We need some kind of a scorecard, but anyway. Any comments on Victor? Thoughts? Any disagreement, agreement? If not, we shall move on to testing my knowledge of the alphabet. Joe.
Yeah. I have so many possible predictions. How do I narrow it down? I think the bubble bursts and things go bad and everything goes nasty this year, which means that based on our previous conversation, that will happen at the beginning of 2027. But I'll lock in and say another thing. I wrote a whole article called that I in the true tradition of in the true tradition of a NYU lawyer trying to cover their ass, I wrote a whole thing that was based on what if these predictions. Yeah, here are predictions that should come true that won't, and they weren't all tech. But one of the ones that I did that was tech wise was the NYU CIA combination is strong. One of the ones that I wrote that will cover it is I did go with the death of the billable hour one, which I think is an extension of Caroline's argument too. I think that, death of the billable hour, no, of course, it will always exist for certain things for the same reasons it exists in basically any job in certain things. At certain points, all industries break down to hours. But where the majority of money comes from, it's going to start to move. And I think we've talked in the past about how this is a natural consequence of the fact that ethically you can't bill for time that didn't exist. So do lawyers start just not billing for discovery, my guess is that they like money too much. And so what they're going to have to do is either create a billable hour that is so absurdly high that any self-respecting client would say, I refuse to pay it, or they create a value-based system and go, all right. I mean, it's the same amount that it was last year. And that's the kind of nut that gets in there. I think that the level of legal ops has gotten sophisticated enough that they understand how budgeting works and can sell budgeting of this is what this should be worth. I think that law firms have gotten to a point where they can say this is what we generally get out of this kind of project and bill it that way. That way they can utilize AI to the extent that it speeds things up. It is not as revolutionary as its champions want it to be, nor as useless as its detractors claim it is. It will speed things up in a way that allows them to get advantages. They will do that. They will cut time. They will then reap the rewards of that by value-based billing. And more of that's going to happen. The reason I think it won't happen is that lawyers can't have nice things, and the clients will find a way to complain. I want to see exactly how this breaks down because they want to find an advantage point, which is ridiculous, but they're going to do that. And that way we won't have nice things. My real prediction is that lawyers don't get nice things.
CYA.
Yeah.
The prediction is the billable hour won't die.
But I do think it should die based on what's happening, and I think it will suffer inroads. Yeah. I just don't think it's going to suffer the inroads that are warranted based on the landscape technologically, but they should suffer more of a hit, but they're not going to get as much of a hit, but they'll get some.
Yeah.
I actually totally agree with that.
I think.
Look at that! Yeah, the Violet Mafia is here. By the way, that is our mascot.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
It wasn't one of the Olsen twins.
No, it is a flower. It is literally the flower of the violet. My entire life has been
violent.
Oh no.
Way more intimidating.
My entire educational career has been moving from one mascot to another to get less powerful. I went from being tigers to timberwolves to ducks to violets. I just am like everything's getting slightly less powerful, much like my life. All right.
All right. Well, we come full circle from the person who nailed it on last year's predictions to hearing what she has to say about this year's predictions. Stephanie.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna totally bum everyone out and bring it back to a discrete tech concept as opposed to everything else. But it worked last year with agents. I'm going with MCP, Model Context Protocol. That's going to be the thing that dominates the conversation this year. Interoperability is going to be huge. We've started to see silos collapse left and right around the industry. It started with, research and KM, and now we're down to with the Clio VLEX, even business law, practice of law. Everyone wants interoperability. It's going to make or break point solutions if they can't integrate with platforms. And MCP, Model Context Protocol, is going to be the thing that makes it all possible, way easier than currently hard-coded integrations. And so, like agents dominated panels, MCP is going to dominate panels. And talk of context, and that's what I got for you. I'm going to drop in the chat the thing I wrote I did a scorecard of my predictions last year and my predictions for this year. But yeah, that's where I am. So you didn't need to save me a lot of time because I just won again.
Yeah, I mean that was already the talk of the Legal Tech Fund conference. Was a lot of talk about it there, and I think you're right. There's going to be a lot of talk about that in the coming year. How much actualization of that talk will happen is maybe another topic, but it will be a lot of talk about it.
Yeah. No. Note what she said. There's going to be a lot of talk about it. She's just like last year. She's not going to say anything happens. She's just going to say there's going to be a lot of talk.
Okay, no,
See, you know, like
I said MCPs, this is a definitive statement. MCPs are going to make interoperability and integration so much easier, and you're going to see a lot more of it because of it.
I agree.
That's a
oh,
distinct
okay,
connection. I said it the first
okay.
time too.
No. That's fair. But
Yeah.
you're now this time around you're going on a record. See, the beauty is you don't want to do that. That's what you said. What you were doing with last year's. You want to say that we're going to talk
No,
about
I
it.
said I'm going like last year with a discrete tech concept
Okay,
where
all
instead
right.
of in like global political
Oh
geopolitical
no.
conflict.
Oh
But
no. Yeah. No. I not that. I meant the that we talk about it versus that it
well,
happens.
no, with
Yeah.
agents, I knew it was going to be the topic, but I wasn't ready to say it was going to fix everything, and it still hasn't because I didn't believe it would.
Mhm.
With this, I think this is going to be just a concrete game changer.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
We already started seeing it. We already seen people using it to, I mean, albeit early days, and you know, like there's not without concerns, but like so we're seeing people doing some super cool stuff. You know, even like so again, taking it back to the in-house teams, just doing their own stuff. You know, like Rio Tinto using MCP to connect ChatGPT with iManage. You know, like there's already been some super cool stuff happening, and I think this year I agree with you completely. This is going to be a huge year for it.
All right, I'm gonna take the last 2 minutes we have to give my quick predictions because I just want to. I think that there is going to be some major advances in the use of generative AI to address the justice gap during 2026 and in the legal services sector. Coming up in a couple of weeks is the Legal Services Corporation's Innovations and Technology Conference, where I think a lot of this will be talked about. But I think there's going to be kind of three areas where we're going to see. I mean, there was already like the Everlaw survey came out earlier this year saying that legal aid lawyers are adopting generative AI at a much higher rate than general practice lawyers. And I think we're going to see AI make a real difference in kind of three areas. One will be in sort of triage for legal services offices and other nonprofits serving low income people, just to kind of get that part off the plate of lawyers and other parts and just kind of get the clients in the door or figure out where they should be sent. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think the second part is kind of the boring automation, not the sort of really kind of fancy stuff that Gen AI is capable of doing, but just the ability to automate and streamline form completion, whether by lawyers themselves or by self-represented litigants. I think we're going to see huge developments and inroads in that during the coming year. And then third will be really by the courts. I think courts we're starting to see it already, but during 2026, they're going to start to see AI more as an ally. Who's talking?
Oh, sorry. Yep.
That's you. Anyway, we'll start to see, the courts more see AI as an ally in serving the huge deluge of self-represented litigants they have to deal with. And I think courts will actually innovate in their use of generative AI over the next year. So again, I think it's really just an access to justice theme, but I think it's going to make a real difference. We're going to start to see real inroads during 2026 in that area.
Well, I hope you win.
I hope so. I like your one best.
Yeah.
That is a very cute prediction there, Bob, that everything's going to be great.
Wait a minute. That sounds so cynical.
A little bit shorthanding there, but yeah.
And now for our P-Doom segment.
Oh, Lordy.
Never underestimate
No.
the court's ability to screw up a good situation.
Yeah. No, some courts are already doing some cool stuff with it. So I don't know. I think we'll see inroads in that area.
I was doing cool stuff in 1999 at the Oklahoma Supreme Court. So, yeah, how'd that go?
Well, you're chief innovation officer.
Oh, it worked well for me.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, not so much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, any final thoughts? Any closing thoughts on 2026 before we wrap up here? Time for Caroline to go to bed in her boring,
Right.
non-drinking life.
Is it February yet?
Yes.
Been 3 months of this year already. Didn't you hear,
It
Joe?
depends on what time zone you're in, Caroline.
Right.
All right, well, we will check back next year on how our predictions did this year, and we'll be back next week with a show to talk about the more mundane stuff of what happened between now and then. So I hope everybody has a good week and hope everybody has a great 2026. See
Yeah.
y'all.
Nice to see you.
Bye. All.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.